Today I'll be showing you how I built my second ever master chassis lightsaber, the Heart of Siberia. The Heart of Siberia is a lightsaber hilt designed by Denis Lukyanov, who is well known in the custom lightsaber community for making highly accurate lightsaber replicas such as the Ogdo Killer, the Creepy Uncle, and the Crimson Lord. This was his first, and probably last, non-canon lightsaber design, inspired by the concept art of Kylo Ren's lightsaber. So I hope you all enjoy this build video, and please be sure to like and subscribe if you want to see more awesome lightsaber projects like this one. Let's begin this master chassis build of the Heart of Siberia. To start, I want to weather these brass chassis pieces. The first step is to rough up the surface of each of them with Scotch-Brite pads. Now that that's done, you can see that everything's much duller. But more importantly, they're now ready for the next step, using brass black. Basically, I just dunk them in the brass black, rinse them off with a bunch of water, then dry them with a paper towel and rub off any excess stuff. And this is what the fully weathered chassis looks like. As you can see, all the details show up a lot better now. The next step of the chassis prep is to add a bunch of magnets to the soundboard and battery covers. Okay, the battery cover is now done with all 10 magnets glued in place. I went ahead and added the magnets on the rest of the chassis as well. So now we have a fully removable battery cover and soundboard cover. With these magnets, they're not going anywhere unless I want them to. But now, I think we're ready to install the electronics. The battery tabs are first. Then it's on to the rotary chassis PCB. Always gotta pre-solder those pads. Now for the wires. You've probably noticed already, but I'm gonna be using all black wires for this build. It just looks way nicer. Let's put that off to the side for now, and move on to wiring up the speaker. To finish it off, I added heat shrink to cover and protect the pads. Everything's now glued into the chassis, along with the kill switch I did off camera. Next, we have a completely separate chassis part. This is where the buttons go, but first I have to cut out a couple other pieces attached to it. The first things I cut out were the button covers. And the other thing is the NeoPixel connector holder. Now to install the buttons. First I'm going to chop off the extra legs. I think it should still be fine even if I don't, but they're unnecessary anyways. Pre-soldering the legs comes next. And then attaching the wires. There we go. The buttons are now installed in the chassis. Up next, we're going to be working on the crystal chamber. To get to it, we first have to remove a bunch of screws. When that's done, the chamber just slides out. Now to remove even more screws so I can install the crystal. Instead of using a plastic one, I'm going to use a real quartz crystal. I spent a bunch of time beforehand cutting this one up so it fits. Now for the lighting. Instead of the normal pixel, I'm going to try this tiny pixel ring. Alright, after a lot of attempts, I've reassembled the crystal chamber. It's important to insulate the pixel ring. The pads can't touch the metal. But now we can move on to the NeoPixel connector. Luckily this came with all the pins already soldered in, so now we can skip ahead to attaching the wires. Before it can be installed, we first have to put in the plastic holder. This seems obvious, but I've forgotten enough times to make it worth mentioning. And there we go, just gotta push it in. Now that the crystal, NeoPixel connector, and pixel ring are all installed, the next step is to set up the decorative wire for the outside of the hilt. In order for the crystal chamber to fit back into the hilt, the decorative wire needs to be wrapped around the chamber in between the fins, like this. Then, once it's in the hilt, you just pull on the wire until it's completely unraveled. There we go! The crystal chamber is now back in the hilt, and the decorative wire is ready to go. To finish off the upper section of the lightsaber, we just slide the button chassis in like this, and make sure all the wires come out the bottom. That brings us to installing the pins into the rotary chassis PCB. And there we have it! The PCB is wired in. Now that the PCB is glued into the chassis, we can put on the handle of the lightsaber and screw it in. This will hold the button chassis in place, and we should never have to take it off again. It's finally time to install the soundboard. This lightsaber is going to use the Profi V3.9. What's cool is it actually released right when I bought this lightsaber. So this is the first build I get to use the new Profi in. It's pretty exciting. The last thing I want to add is this accent strip. I felt this chassis was sorely lacking in accent lights, so I was thinking I'd try adding this strip directly onto the soundboard. The hard part will be to get the wires cut accurately in such a small space, but I'll do that off camera. Now for a quality of life thing. This hilt came with a knurled washer, which I glued to the screw. Now I can use it as a blade retention screw, one that I can tighten by hand. So that means there's no need to carry around an Allen wrench whenever I want to put in or take out a blade. I just have to use my fingers. This is one of the best upgrades ever. Lastly, to complete this build, I glued on the red accent pieces to the handle, as well as set up the decorative red wire. And now I can safely say that this lightsaber project is fully complete. Now that the Master Chassis project is complete, let's take a look at the finished product. Even though this chassis is small, there's a lot packed in here. It has weathered brass all around it. It's using the best 28mm speaker out there, and accent lights to light up the soundboard cover in any sequence I want. Let's turn it on. And look at that. Isn't that just so cool? Now, let's put it in the lightsaber. There you can see the crystal chamber light up. Let's turn it on. Here's the best part about this lightsaber hilt. It has a sliding door to reveal the crystal chamber. I also managed to set it up so the crystal has independent actions from the blade. Right now I have it set up with a cooldown effect. Let me cycle through the fonts to show off the crystal colors.
Blue, green, purple, red, yellow, white.
This is the weapon of a Jedi Knight.
Ah, yes. A Jedi's weapon. Take your weapon. Strike me down with all of your hatred.
Apology accepted. Rogue Commander. Smooth Jedi. Smooth fuzz. Smooth gray. Teensy. Traitor!
And we're back to the beginning. Now, to get ready for the blade, let's remove the blade plug by using the hand-operated retention screw. The time has come to see what this thing's like with a blade. So let's put it in, tighten the retention screw, and see what this can do. Awesome. Let's cycle through the rest of the fonts. And that brings us to the end of this Master Chassis lightsaber build. Thank you all so much for watching. I had a lot of fun with this lightsaber build, and I think it turned out great. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and look forward to all the awesome lightsaber projects I have coming up. See you all next time.